Welcome everybody to a new series on this channel for the first time that I'm trying to do called Comic Recaps. And as you can tell in the title of today's video, I'll be covering Doomsday Clock and everything you need to know before you get your hands on this juicy comic. Now in case you don't know what Doomsday Clock is, it's this new DC comic storyline that's being written by Jeff Johns that's said to be released in mid-November 2017, right before the release date of Justice League. This story will feature characters like Superman, Dr.Manhattan, and a lot more people. But before I can get you into what Doomsday Clock will be all about, I need to let you guys know some background information that will help you figure out how this all got started.
Everywhere, it ain't no place to run. Forgive me for my wrongs, I have just begun. Ain't no mercy, ain't no mercy.
Back in May of 2016, DC was planning this new run for their comics titled DC Rebirth. DC Rebirth wasn't intended to be a reboot, but rather bring back what older and faithful fans wanted. For example, bringing back the original Wally West, giving Nightwing his black and blue costume back, and even reintroducing the pre-New 52 Superman. When the DC Rebirth one-shot special came out, people were flipping out. Aquaman had proposed to Mira, Ted Kord was training the new Blue Beetle, and even Barry Allen saved and remembered Wally West, rescuing him from the Speed Force and his imprisonment. However, something was off. When Wally was rescued from the Speed Force, he explained to Barry that someone had tampered with their lives, and it caused them to lose almost 10 years of memories. That something or someone had caused them all this pain and loss, but no one knew why. With that, one of the last panels seen is Batman holding the comedian's button that mysteriously ended up in the Batcave. Now before I go on, the comedian was a character back in the popular 1985 graphic novel that we all know, Watchmen, written by Alan Moore, where superheroes existed in a time where the US was about to go into nuclear warfare with Russia and President Nixon had just been re-elected for a third term. The group of the Watchmen consisted of the comedian, Ozymandias, Rorschach, Silk Spectre, Night Owl, and of course, Dr. Manhattan, with him being the only superpowered being of the group. Now in the story before Watchmen, which is a prequel set to the Watchmen title, we see that Dr. Manhattan is talking about how there's a closed box in front of us, and we can determine that there might be a toy in this box. But in another universe, there could be a cat, and in another universe, there could be a baby, and so forth. We see him explain how he tempered with time in order to be partnered with Silk Spectre, and how he made other versions of where he was partnered with Rorschach or Night Owl, and they all ended in different ways. In the end of the book, however, we see he had to create a universe of his own, and this universe is thought to be the DC universe, which is created in the event called Flashpoint. Now I know you're all probably like, can you just get to Doomsday Clock already? But just be a little bit more patient and stick with me a little further, because we're going to get there in a flash, I promise. Now in case Flashpoint sounds familiar to you, that's because the TV version of The Flash has already tried to do their concept, but their version isn't exactly how it goes down in the comic. In the original Flashpoint, Barry Allen, aka The Flash, travels back in time to save his mother from being murdered, and in doing so causes major distortion across the timeline. For example, Superman didn't crash in Kansas, but rather Metropolis, where the government kept him in an underground facility and ran multiple tests on him. Cyborg works for the government, Wonder Woman and Aquaman are about to cause World War III, and Thomas Wayne becomes Batman and Martha Wayne becomes the Joker after Bruce is murdered in an alleyway instead of his parents. All of this is fixed, however, after Flashpoint Batman kills Reverse Flash and Barry runs back in time, stopping himself from saving his mom. When Barry returns, things are different. There isn't a Kid Flash, everyone has new suits, and everyone has a different origin story. Flashpoint was basically this huge reboot for DC Comics, eventually leading up to the New 52 storyline. This all leads back to the storyline behind the button, where Batman and the Flash investigate this odd object that mysteriously ended up in the Batcave, and in doing so, cause them to go back to the Flashpoint timeline where it eventually gets destroyed again. Reverse Flash and Batman duke it out before Eobard dies by the hand of quote-unquote God, and Bruce contemplating whether or not he should continue to helm the cowl of the Batman after his father told him to hang it up and be with his son in a way Thomas never could with Bruce. In the ending of the Button storyline, we see the comedian's button again, this time being picked up by a mysterious blue glowing hand who is presumed to be the one and only Dr. Manhattan. The story ends with Dr. Manhattan explaining how everything in our world is predetermined and we can't change the future. This is how we end up to Doomsday Clock. In Doomsday Clock, we are finally getting to know what we've been waiting for so long. Beings like Superman and Dr. Manhattan will face off against one another. This brings us some questions, however. Who from the Watchmen is showing up, and how can someone like Batman or the Flash take on someone like the godlike Dr. Manhattan? Well, from what we already know in the original Watchmen story, toward the ending we know that Ozymandias has this grandmaster plan for the world to come together by teleporting an alien monster into the middle of New York.
Humanity's savage nature will inevitably lead to global annihilation. So in order to save this planet, I had to trick it with the greatest practical joke in human history.
Killing millions.
To save billions. A necessary crime.
You know, we can't let you do that.
Do that, Rorschach? I'm not a comic book villain. Do you seriously think I'd explain my masterstroke to you if there were even the slightest possibility you could affect the outcome? I triggered it 35 minutes ago.
Everyone seemed to agree to the idea of not to snitch out Ozymandias and let the world band together. The only one who rejected this, however, was Rorschach. He was then killed by Dr. Manhattan, but not without his journal reaching one of the local newspaper sites in New York. The story ends with Night Owl and Silk Spectre going into hiding. Ozymandias was never snitched out for his crimes, including the killing of the comedian, and Dr. Manhattan's whereabouts are unknown. Now, we already know that Dr. Manhattan can blow up a single person with just a thought. So how is the Justice League going to even prepare for such an overpowered individual? We honestly don't know. But what we can do is analyze the powers of some beings. Superman. Superman is known for his superhuman strength, laser vision, freeze breath, and so much more. Superman can literally destroy planets with a single sneeze. We can even see him lift the book of infinite pages. Infinite pages! We've also seen him go toe-to-toe against Doomsday, which is his strongest arch nemesis, and when they were facing off, they were hitting each other so hard, windows and buildings were being destroyed just by punching each other and delivering earth-shattering blows. Even with Superman at the ultimate prime of his power, he can simply do this.
See? I finally bought what you've been selling! How does it feel, Black? How does it feel to be deconstructed? To be the victim? To watch your dreams die?
Let me show you, you self-righteous hypocrite! Heat vision? You can barely stand, let alone fry my face!
I'm not aiming at your face.
You're not dying. I'm thinking it, but why can't I feel my power?
I scanned your brain for abnormalities, and when I found one, I cut it out.
What?
Heat vision. Focus through your pupils like a scalpel. Instant lobotomy.
So with two of the most powerful beings meeting off face to face this upcoming November, we have no clue how an event would go down if these two would ever end up duking it out. But we know one thing for certain, this is going to be one of the most epic things we've ever seen in DC Comics. Well, that's about all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen, so I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys want me to do any more of these. I think this is a really good start to this new series, especially covering Doomsday Clock. Now, again, what this series is to basically recap you before a comic book story coming out and, basically get you to know the basic information of something, whether that be a new comic coming out or an old comic or even a movie coming out. So this is going to be a series that's going to be, kind of maybe twice a month, hopefully. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I do making it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.